Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Ivan Kral. I'm working for United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Some of you may know that UNIDO is assisting member states with improving their industry, and I'm particularly covering mainly leather sector. What I will talk today, it will be about safety in the leather processing and in tanneries. One reason why I selected this topic is that some 20 years ago, we prepared one publication, sorry, it's not visible now, about safety. And in coming days, we will launch a second edition of this safety guide for tanneries, and it will be available for whole industry. So within my presentation, I will touch main topics related to the safety and some aspects of the safe leather. So in a way, on the whole, the general intention of UNIDO is to present and promote the concept of leather as a sustainable material and safe material. And to be classified as a safe leather, it should be safe for workers, it should be safe for community, and it should be safe for users. It means that we need to provide safe working conditions. We need to provide also proper treatment of emissions and effluents to protect also communities, and also to provide safe products to avoid restricted substances, also design and so on. So it means that really we should not have such examples as was first, but really to have very good and well-organized tanneries to cover all this. And from my perspective, I consider safety as part of this sustainability. And today I will focus mainly on this safety aspect and the health standards in tanneries. Firstly, very first question is why we should focus on safety. Safe and healthy work is a fundamental human right. This is what we should be aware of. At the same time, there are estimates that non-existing or poor safety measures cost a lot of money. It means that we can have economic savings by investing into safety. It means also reduce absence of people, reduction of various compensations. We improve image of our industry, and we increase also sale by that. There are, of course, also legal obligations. And of course, we need to invest into people, and they will return it back. And at the end of the day, it will be our tanneries more profitable. So safety is a right investment. This is a key step. Then next point is what are main health risks and main causes of accidents in tanneries? We can conclude that there are four most important contributing factors. Firstly, it is machines and equipment. As faulty design and poor maintenance, this leads to a sequence of events which finally may result into an accident. Chemicals, this is important factor, and chemical substances applied before or to the leather production process can have an impact on safety and health of people exposed to this during the work. Working environment and conditions influence workforce behavior and practices, and thereby directly and also directly can cause accidents or health risks. As examples, this is disorder, for example, noise, lighting, transport, temperature, humidity, ventilation, and so on and so on. But all this is connected with people, and people are the most important. Of course, the people are injured, but then also managers and supervisors' performance and behavior influences those of workers with regard to following good work practices and being able to respond properly in case of emergency. So in this sense, important factors are training and to be aware of risks and to be able to adhere to safe, proper rules about safety. Now, let's come to some details about these main risks. Machines and equipments and mechanical equipment plays an important role in modern tanneries. Although this results in increasing productivity, their use has also introduced new hazards to the tanneries. Dangers from machine exist in several specific locations, such as the point of operation, where the power is transmitted to machines and around any moving part of the machine. Also, operation of such machines causes some emissions, for example, wet floors, and if it is not dealt properly, this is also increasing risk of accidents. Regular maintenance and quality machines, this is a precondition for safe work environment. We have just here two examples of, let's say, modern machine and some tanning drums, which perhaps should not be used anymore as they are quite risky, this left example. And this is what we need to follow, that we need to be aware of all this kind of risk. Working environment and conditions within the shop floor, it's also important factor for health risk, and this influences workers' performance in a tannery. When neglected, it can decrease also morale and commitment to work, as well as to increase some absences in companies. Temperature, humidity, noise, and quality of light are some key conditions. These can have an effect on workers' safety and health and can be improved by very simple means. Similarly, changes in work organization and workplace layout can have an impact on tannery productivity while improving safety and health standards at work. So even here on these pictures, we can see two examples of good practice and perhaps something where improvement is needed. Chemicals, this is an additional important part. It is partly related also to working environment, but also as exposure to chemicals is very important, and we should try to reduce exposure to chemicals, either by selection of proper personal protective equipment, but even rather more reduction of exposure risk to chemicals is mainly assured by some automatic dosing systems and the modern facilities. So we can see two examples which in one hand we have really very good, well-maintained or well-prepared dosing system, and then a traditional use of labor to add chemicals. And people, this is perhaps the most important factor, and people should be aware of any kind of risk, and same time from a management point of view, we should reduce exposure to any kind of risk with better working standards. And the most important part with people is awareness raising, training, and the proper communication of risks. And this leads also to proper safety management and safety culture within the organization. Within safety management, or the objective of safety management system is to provide structured management approach to control safety risk in operations. Effective safety management must take into account the organization's specific structures and processes related to safety operations. safety management system is a systematic approach to managing safety, including the necessary organizational and structural accountability policies and procedures. If we have within company proper safety policy, also safety planning, safety assurance, and some system for safety improvement, we can call it safety culture. Within safety management, we have several steps. Firstly, risk management, then how to deal with chemicals, machines and electric installation, maintenance, workplace environment, personal protective equipment, transport within the workplace, safety management system as a whole system, and emergency management. This is all what needs to be properly addressed and prepared to have proper safety management. Risk assessment, this is a very first step. And with each safety procedure, firstly, you have to be aware of any risk. It is important to start with hazard identification, explanation of who and how is affected, whether risk evaluation is low, medium, high, what we need to address as a priority, control measures indications, and of course, later on recommendations and implementations of these recommendations. It is recommended to perform risk assessment on a regular basis or whenever there is some changes in production, either new chemicals, new people, new machinery, and so on and so on. Some key issues with chemicals, proper handling, storing, and transport of chemicals is a key to safety. I would say that within tannery chemicals, this is something where most of the accidents happens with chemicals. What are key issues and what needs to be addressed? Firstly, there should be proper labeling and communication of chemicals within tannery. Each chemical has to have safety data sheets, so workers, operators, and all people should know what they are dealing with. We should have proper storing, also proper system for handling of chemicals, reduction of exposure to chemicals, disposing of old chemicals, then how to deal with risky chemicals, also reduce avoidance of chromium-6. REACH as a standard is very important to adhere to, and this also gives additional safety with chemicals. And then there are also airborne pollutants within the workplace, which we need to address. This is an example of if a first picture was not perhaps appropriate storage. This is an example of appropriate chemical storage, where we can see some chemicals which are locked, then proper racks, also proper communication about chemicals and their hazard. For emergency, this emergency shower and first aid kit, proper lighting, proper flooring, also proper, let's say, marking of the areas where chemicals should be. Sorry. Machines and electric installation, this is an additional important topic, and this is just one small example where properly maintained machines with all safety facilities, active and passive safety guards, are preventing some possible injuries. Maintenance, this is one of the most critical part of risk. And maintenance is a high risk activity with very specific hazards and risks. And this includes working alongside running process and in close contact with machinery. During normal operations, automation typically diminishes the likelihood of human error that can lead to accidents. In maintenance activities, it's contrary to normal operations. It is direct contact between the worker and the machine, and it cannot be reduced substantially. Maintenance is an activity where workers need to be in close contact with processes. Maintenance often involves unusual work, non-routine tasks, and it is often performed in exceptional conditions, such as working in confined spaces, working at height, and working under pressure, time pressure. And it is also typical for maintenance operations, especially when shutdowns or high priority repairs are involved. Here, just I give some example of working at height. Always people are surprised that also working at height is part of the safety which needs to be addressed in tanneries. But even with maintenance of drums or so, many times our workers need to use a ladder or work in a height. So this is also very important to have proper training for working at height. At the height. So investment into quality is also investment in safety, or vice versa. Investment into safety is also investment into quality. So it's very much connected, and proper layout of tannery, proper organization of workplace, also proper training, proper installation of machines. This is preconditions for safe environment which needs to be there. This is an additional example of properly prepared layout with properly marked areas for different operations. And it seems that also people are properly trained. Within workplace environment, that's what we already discussed a little bit. There are several factors. It is light, it is noise, air humidity, exposure to chemicals, dust, confined spaces. But also we can consider bullying and harassment as an important part of working environment and safety culture. Then, of course, within tanneries, we have knives and knife safety. As on these two pictures, also proper layout of the workshop with properly marked paths and also to adhere to rules. This is part of the proper workplace environment. Many times we cannot avoid all these risks, and as the last resort to protect our workers, it is provision of appropriate personal protective equipment, either because of noise or exposure to chemicals. So there should be clear plan and clearly defined for each operation which kind of personal protective equipment is needed, and it is employer's duty to provide appropriate high quality personal protective equipment, and workers' duty to use it according to needs. Transport within the workplace. This is something which also is quite risky as it's moving parts, and if someone does not pay attention, it can be quite difficult. So proper transport safety, also proper maintenance of forklifts and appropriate tools for transport within workplace. This is crucial and it is very important. It's not only forklifts or but then also various conveyors, which also helps workers. We need to pay attention also to ergonomics and also how to reduce physical exposure of our workers. So we can see here a very good example how tannery operation can be even more reduce physical exposure and reduce risk of any kind of accidents. Again, I will return back a little bit to safety management systems. That's also what perhaps we already have from previous slides. We can conclude that safety does not happen by accident. So then if safety does not happen by accident, how does it happen? What do we need for that? So we need proper safety management. We need really to adhere to legal requirements. We need, or management needs, also properly promoting safety within the company. There needs to be appropriate training program to promote safety and also to take care of welfare of all employees. And all this is a part of the safety management. And now, who is responsible for occupational safety and health? In one hand, to summarize or to make it very short, firstly, management is responsible for providing safe working environment, and each employee is responsible for his or her own safety. Just very brief summary of employer's responsibility. It is carry out the risk assessment, identify who needs protecting from hazards, then implementing all safety measures and procedures, create health and safety policy, give all employees information and provide training to all staff, including visitors, of course. Display also health and safety posters, so it means awareness raising. And of course, that there can be some emergency, to have also some emergency procedures and provide also first aid kit and all kind of rooms for emergency. What is the role or responsibility of employees? It is understanding the risk associated with their work and adhere to all these rules, follow any health and safety training, comply with all safety procedures, be also proactive. So it means that if there is some risk, then to communicate and to inform management that there is some possible hazard. Report any failings in safety procedures. So this will also lead to improvement of safety in the company. But still, regardless what we are doing, many times we have some accidents and we need to be prepared for this. So there needs to be also emergency management, and within companies, we need to be prepared to deal with emergencies. So starting with emergency and evacuation plan, then safety manual to have all necessary equipment for fire and so on. Train people with first aid, to have appropriate first aid kits. And of course, also to have, for example, emergency shower for people dealing with chemicals. So, and that's what I would say, that this is just one example from one company where I visited, and then I just, by coincidence, I checked first aid kit. And now we can ask ourselves whether this is the best way how this company could be prepared for some emergency, for some injury, and whether people would be able really to find what they need there. So before concluding this, I would maybe make reference to some useful resources. Within safety, there is ISO standard, which is very good guide for the safety. Of course, APLF Academy, there are many resources, and you can see even now that they are very active with different kinds of trainings. Cotans, they prepared together with all industria, very useful online safety risk self-assessment. And this is for free to use by any company, and it is really very good tool for risk assessment. Leather Working Group has also very good guidelines about safety, also about housekeeping. EULTCS, that's of course that they are promoting also safe environment and sustainable leather production. Then there is a Sustainable Leather Foundation, which is also very good entry point. And within UNIDO, we prepared leatherpanel.org. There are many useful publications, also training materials and online trainings for industry. And that's what I would like to add, that within 10 days, there will be second edition of Occupational Safety and Health Aspects of Leather Manufacturing Guideline prepared by UNIDO. It will be available within leatherpanel.org. It is for free, and it will be complemented with online training, which can be used by any user or any company. So thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions or some additional comments, contributions, I will be very pleased to answer and to address. Thank you. So, are there any comments? Yes. Okay. So this is So I shared the link. So within leatherpanel.org, there will be this new edition of safety manuals and safety guideline. It will be there within more or less 10 days. Currently, there are perhaps more than 150 different publications, and there is also a link to online training, for example, for hydrogen sulfide risk and how to deal with hydrogen sulfide. Also, we have online training for first aid in companies. So I can show you. This is so. This is as example. This is a different link to this site is also within a leather panel, and this is how this training looks like. There are various modules. There is also test and certificate, so people can go through this training, and it is free of charge, and it increase also possibilities. This is just to show how this training looks like, and it is possible to use by any company. It is for self-learning, or also it can be used for classroom presentation. So that's really, I think, that's a very good example of some training which can be provided to workers. So any more questions or comments or some contributions? So now Just a second. So, as there are no questions still, either through APLF, you can contact me, or you can contact us via leatherpanel.org via contact point. So I would like to thank you for all your attention and attendance, and I'm looking forward for any kind of feedback in future, and I do hope that also our new edition of Occupational Safety Manual will be useful for you. Thank you very much.